Let's add more to the 2012 US Grand Prix F1 story and a JF Musial interview with Christian Horner, team principal of Red Bull Racing. But first, in the US, the early TV ratings for the Speed TV broadcast of the Austin USGP were revealed. And the numbers said about 500,000 viewers tuned into the cable broadcast. The biggest F1 audience of the year in the US, said Speed TV. 5 times the crowd that went to the track. But really the same audience levels as an IndyCar broadcast. But next year, F1 in the US moves to NBC Sports for the next 4 years. 100 hours of F1 programming in 2013. With the announcing team of Lee Diffie of IndyCar, Grand Am, and American Le Mans experience, leading the US F1 broadcasters you know, David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. No word on Will Buxton yet, or the actual NBC programming plan/format. But 4 F1 races will be on the network NBC. The other 16 on the NBC Sports Network, the cable channel. And the 2013 Austin F1 race will be on network TV. So now let's see what happens. Oh, and last Monday, I told and showed you how I'm an idiot. Well, 4 days later, I get to show you why I, Leo Parente, am an idiot again. See, near the end of the US F1 debrief show, that 38-minute video, yeah, I know, what was I thinking? I included the audio of an interview that JF Musial, Drive's CEO and executive producer, got with Christian Horner, the Red Bull Racing team principal, and Andreas Sigl, Infiniti director of F1 partnerships. But I parked the interview near the end of the show, and that interview was a big deal. So I am an idiot to have buried the lead, as they say in journalism school. Really, Leo, 30 minutes of me to get to the good stuff? You may have missed it or passed out before we got to Horner and Andreas. Thanks to JF, this is the first time an F1 team principal had ever been on record for Drive. And Andreas Sigl and Infiniti are doing game-breaking things with the Infiniti RBR collaboration. I can't be an idiot and downplay all that. So when we come back, we'll go back to the Horner, Sigl, JF interview. More of the interview than we shared the first time, and this time we'll break down, dissect, and impart perspective on the importance of everything JF got from Messrs. Horner and Sigl.
What's great with the way they've constructed this circuit is you see the cars at their best, high-speed corners, whereas previous circuits have either been makeshift or adapted, like in Indy and so on, whereas this one is specifically designed to showcase Formula One cars.
So, on our Google Hangout during the Austin race, a viewer asked about the differences from an F1 track to US road courses. Now, F1 regulations control a lot of the design as to safety and runoff areas because of the 5G cornering, high G braking, 200-mile-an-hour top speeds of an F1 car. And looking at the runoff areas of many of the US tracks, like Road America, Laguna Seca, etc., you can see the differences. US tracks are getting better. They are safe for our cars, but they're really not up to F1 standards. That said, from a racing standpoint, most US tracks do not flow like an F1 circuit with high-speed corners. Yes, Road Atlanta has its S's, but most US tracks are point and shoot to the straightaway, to the next corner, point and shoot to the next corner. Now, F1 designer Herman Tilke loves his long straights to hairpins, which US tracks really have not embraced, and that may be another difference. And you heard how Christian Horner voiced his opinion that the Indy F1 track and many of the other older USGP venues in some of the other 9 cities like Long Beach, Vegas, Detroit, Phoenix, Dallas were just not good homes for US F1. But the Circuit of the Americas not just looks proper, it races right as well. And Christian alluded to that, and we saw it in the racing. Multiple passing opportunities, and not just because of the lower grip, harder tires, and a green track of year 1. No, it's the configuration. And I bet with more grip will come more bravery and more corners. Getting ready for a new track like the Circuit of the Americas prompted JF Musial to ask about simulations.
How accurate is the simulation now? What can you get from it?
Well, I mean, what we lacked on the simulation here, because they weren't made with the curbs. So the drivers got to drive the track without the curbs, but we put our best guess in, and they don't seem too far away. So you will learn a huge amount from simulation. Also, in the run-up to the weekend, technically you can look at different setups and so on, and as you gather data, your simulation only comes stronger. It's a compromise, so you need to have, we've got the slowest straight line speed, of any of the cars, but we're carrying quite a lot of downforce to go through the corners quicker. So we're hoping by the time we get to the straight, we're a couple of cars lengths ahead, so they don't manage to get into the DRS zone.
Getting your visuals, your reference points, and muscle memory set for a new racetrack are the obvious assist sim driving will give a racer. But the team can run different setups, experiment with different contingencies, and acquire for itself 3 major assets for the race from simulation: getting the race car set up for the track, having the knowledge to understand exactly what changes on the car to make as conditions change, and time management. The sim data makes the team work more efficiently, effectively, with less waste of the most critical resource of a race weekend. No, not the catering, time. Now, you heard how Christian talked about the setup for the RB8. Well, he actually seemed to confirm the race strategy for Red Bull Racing as well. Seems they load the cars with downforce for the corners, more than the competition, and use that handling to break away from the 1-second DRS window. And it's worked most of the time this year, and probably why Red Bull got so pissy about Karthikeyan in the Austin S's, because that backmarker not just negated Vettel's lead, he effed up the whole RBR strategy. Time now to listen to Christian Horner as he talked about how important the US market is to F1.
It's very important for us. It's our biggest ever race in terms of hospitality-wise. I think there'll be more viewers here. There's more interest in this race than any other on the calendar, and that's because we're racing in Texas for the first time. And I think it's part of the excitement of being back in the US, and obviously with the track that's been built. It's a great layout, and you can see the amount of ex-drivers there are here and celebrities that I don't know the names of. It's great to see the amount of interest.
What does Formula One have to do to guarantee a successful future here? What is in the
We've got to put on a good show. We've got to for sure engage with the American public, and it's great to see a big turnout here. All 3 days, from what I understand, are pretty much sold out, and it's important we put a great show on so that people see Formula One at its best.
I must say, the show is one thing, but there needs to be a sustained commitment to communicate the F1 experience year-round. NFL American football figured that out, and it's part of our culture. It happens in Europe with F1 and your football. And I think F1 leadership recognizes that this is the commitment to the US that needs to happen. The sellout rant about COTA is starting to show some cracks to the story. Race 1 was a success at the USGP, but will the crowds be back or grow in 2013 and 14? The Baltimore Grand Prix, the IndyCar ALMS street race, was promoted as the over-the-top best in year 1. But year 2, while it was good, it did not grow. In fact, there was a bit less attendance and vibe. This is a tough business. And in America, we don't make decisions by need, it's by want. And F1 needs to make more people, more than 100,000, want to go to a race, and more than 500,000 want to tune into TV or the internet. Now, we pick up with JF and Horner as they talk about how the Red Bull team is motivated, their passion, and the personality of the team, and how it all kind of works together.
You've got to have clear objectives, clear targets, and you've got to encourage creativity. You've got to back individuals, not to be afraid to talk out constructively, and work as a team. And of course, you've got lots of different disciplines, lots of different departments within a Formula One team that range from, research and design, aerodynamics, logistics, production, absolutely, material science, simulation, to the operational side, track side. And so you've got so many elements, but you've got to work as one unit. And it's the biggest team sport in the world. But we're always looking to push the boundaries, to be creative, to test ourselves. And I think our spirit, our approach is different to the other teams. We're not as corporately driven perhaps as some of the other teams. There's more freedom in the way we express ourselves, and that comes through into creative design as well. The guys play the music loud, and they'll be there later than any team last night for sure, as they are at every Grand Prix. But it's nobody moans, nobody complains. They get on with their job, and they enjoy their job, and they do it to the best of their ability. And nobody wants to let the other guys down.
Sure.
You know, so that's the true essence of being a team.
There's really nothing I can add to all that, except listen to how Christian moved the team from its Jaguar F1 team roots and shortcomings to what RBR is today. Now, you all know that Red Bull Racing was the same team that once was Jackie Stewart Grand Prix of 1997, and then Jaguar Racing up till 2004.
When the team was Jaguar, it didn't really have an identity or a culture like that. It was, it was a different mentality, and it was, well, we got the 7th biggest budget, we'll be 7th in the championship. And it's, we, as soon as I arrived at the team, I looked to change that philosophy, change that mentality. And it's, guys, we're going for gold, so forget budgets and whatever else. The fact that we've got the 7th biggest budget, we've just got to be smarter. We've got to be smarter than the opposition. We've got to invest prudently, and we've got to get the right people involved and work as one group rather than saying, well, I've done my bit, it's over to him now. Adrian was a key recruitment for me because he put the technical direction, into the team. But then it's like having a great conductor but no orchestra. You've got to have all different instruments in the right position. Adrian sets the tempo, but there's a lot of different departments that are all contributing, that have got responsibilities for their areas. So every time the car runs, it's a prototype.
As special as all that truly is, the collaboration with Infiniti helped take Red Bull Racing to another level. By now we know that the Red Bull Infiniti partnership is more than just marketing. It is technology access and resource sharing, not just for F1, but for the Infiniti road cars as well. Sebastian Vettel and RBR third driver Sebastian Buemi are doing development work on the new Infiniti road cars. And the race cars are running Nissan Infiniti battery technology and energy systems. And as you listen to Andreas Sigl, in the question and answer part, let your imagination run wild with cross-technical possibilities as he shares his analogy of Red Bull Racing and Infiniti Corporate.
We have great interaction with Infiniti on the technical side. So we do an awful lot of work with the guys, from the Nissan R&D side, looking at future technology 1 or 2 years down the road as well, which is something that previously for us wasn't available.
Yesterday you spoke about the relationship with Nissan and Infiniti in terms of developing the COTA system. What other technology are you partnering on, looking in the future for? What is it that is really the focus now for next year?
Well, things like material science. These guys are investing a huge amount into material science and vehicle dynamics and simulation, and they're all aspects that they have much longer lead times than we do. But obviously, I think Nissan have 20,000 designers working in R&D.
If you got 600 people working making keys, we got maybe 19,000 working around the world. And if a race car is being built as a prototype every 2 weeks, we have an entire group that is 10, 15 years thinking out. So they don't get their motivation from automotive players. Maybe they go to the zoo or somewhere. They gotta be out there thinking, how do cars look like and drive, and what are materials like in 10 years from now. So that's something we pretty much opened our toolbox. We brought Christian and Adrian to Atsugi twice now, either themselves or the R&D team, and opened up our toolbox and said, here it is. And there's obvious stuff like lightweight materials. And there's crazy stuff like we have a scratch shield paint, which is self-healing on our road cars. I thought there would be no interest whatsoever, but there's an interest in the Formula One team even on scratch shield paint. So there's many areas, if it's processes or technologies, that we'd be happy to share and at the same time learn. Because we are a super tanker and they are a speedboat, so it's good for us to learn something also.
What did you find interesting with the scratch-free paint?
It's surface finish. Surface finish, so obviously the cars are aerodynamically very critical, so surface finish is something that's very important to us.
The Infiniti Scratch Shield paint is a seemingly small but very telling statement for both companies. F1 is aero-dictated and smooth surfacing has performance benefits, so a finish that smooths itself over from chips is likely to pay racing dividends. Sure, but if both companies are thinking that deeply about the details of their products and performance, we may find ourselves lusting after great Red Bull Edition Infiniti road cars and fighting for Vettel's Red Bull Racing Infiniti seat in real life or on the simulator.
Thank you.